And Johnny, let's close out the podcast looking some more at some DC news in this one. Did not expect to get, but we got earlier this week. According to a new report from the hashtag report, Warner Brothers and DC have hired Noah Gardner and Aidan Fitzgerald to write a horror-tinged script for The Trench, a spin-off movie that would focus on one of the other underwater kingdoms. The Trench are featured multiple times in Aquaman, and the spin-off movie will have more of a horror vibe than the solo film. Juan and Peter Safran will produce the film, Juan being the director of the first Aquaman movie, which is also said to be aiming for a modest budget. As of right now, there are no plans on any main Aquaman characters to appear. Johnny, I want to just ask you this very easy kind of question. What should we expect from this The Trench horror-tinged spinoff?
Well, so my knowledge of it is basically from the Aquaman movie, so you'll have
Which is
more.
very much from the comics.
Yeah, well, you'll have more in depth soon enough, but I'll get through mine first because it's probably going to be brief. I think it would be awesome, especially make it a horror-themed one. The question would be, my thought would be to at least throw in somehow like the evolution of how they became what they are now. Because obviously I wouldn't have thought they were, because when they did like the Seven Kings or like Meeting of the Kings area, they all looked like actual, what do you call it? People, just like how everyone from Atlanta looked.
Here's the thing.
Or
from Atlanta.
Atlantis.
They come from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, they look like people from Atlanta, or do they look like that in Atlanta? No, they look like people from Atlantis, but now like you have these other, like you have the prawns.
Yes.
That look like they would crossed with crustaceans. You have the fishermen, as they call them, which had the actual mermaid tail. So it's intriguing, like how these groups actually evolved to the way they are.
And you're right. And here's the history from the comics. For those of you who don't know about the Trench, I'll read it here. When Atlan destroyed Atlantis, it plunged the seven kingdoms of Atlantis into the sea. The survivors initially believed 4 of the kingdoms were destroyed, and the other 3 survived and adapted to their new conditions, with 90% of the Atlanteans dying from the event. The Trench were one of the 3 surviving kingdoms, along with I'm not even going to try to pronounce them, 2 others. Basically, Atlantis and Zebelia, one of them. Probably said that wrong. The Trench adapted to living in a trench near the mid-Atlantic ridge and developed an alternate language. They have a king and queen who differ physically in form from the worker class of Trench. The Trench follow the wielder of the Death King's scepter. The Trench are drawn to the leader of Atlantis, and Aquaman believes the scepter doesn't hold mystical control over the Trench, but instead the Trench believe the wielder is this scepter is their true leader. Wow, that was some weird English there. So basically they are real people. Like they are a kingdom of Atlantis who got plunged. They now live in the Trench, and it's basically like, hey, we were just like Atlanteans, but now we
had to adapt to these conditions.
Evolved into our conditions, and now we are just kind of like these guild monsters with like scary teeth and kind of like buggy eyes, and I can't wait for this. Like, I saw this because you know as well as I do. I was geeking out about this in our Aquaman review.
When we watched the movie, we were geeking out about it.
But then even in our review, I geeked out about it, where there's a scene, it's even in the trailer, where you see all of them kind of jumping over the boat or trying to jump on the boat. And I'm like, that's straight from the comics. I love that because that was straight panel for panel from what you saw in the Trench comic written by Jeff Johns. And Jeff Johns we trust. But this will be interesting. I would like what you said, kind of how did it become, like, show me maybe, and this is the horror thing of it,
Mm-hmm.
show me how they become what they are.
Yeah.
Where the end of the movie is them becoming the trench.
Yeah, like show them like a slow go through of like how like Atlantis start with like Atlantis falling into the water, and like you can cut back to like Atlantis every so often, just like what was the king's name back then? Atlan.
Was that Atlan?
Yeah, it was Atlan. Have Atlan and like his advisors doing like a reconnaissance of like not going over there, but like it's not even reconnaissance then. It's like a tally of like who all survived, and like, whoa, this group is dead, this group's dead, this group's dead. And just start like do that, because then you can even like maybe talk a little like make it focus on the trench, but like maybe even talk about a little bit how eventually the prawns became how they are, and how everyone from the oh god, I forgot what it was called, but the one that was out in the desert.
Yes. I don't remember their name.
I don't remember what they
they're
called it
talking
either, and tell us if you remember. What that group like and how they died off. Like you can do a little snippet in there of that.
Where in the movie that was the part where they found that thing and they had to use the sweat to get it to work.
Could just peed on it.
Yeah, well that too. Here's an interesting thing though. Two things. First off, I'm gonna read a tweet, and James Wan actually responded to it. Going to be a producer of this movie, directed the Aquaman movie. So the tweet this is Scott Mendelson put this out. The Trench Aquaman spinoff is essentially applying the Conjuring universe model to DC film brands. So you like this killer doll in that one scene, or that scary nun in that other scene, enjoy a whole movie about that killer doll and another with that evil nun. I get what he's trying to say. Of basically, oh, you like this? Let me give you a full movie of it. James Wan replied to that and said, during the early stages of pre-production, I fell in love with the trench and its designs, and secretly hoped to explore this world further / more. Now I'm not confirming or denying this project. Winky face. Whereas we're now also getting theories where basically there's one on Screen Rant where they have a theory that this trench movie is getting the Cloverfield treatment, as they call it, where basically it's what's interesting about Gardner and Fitzgerald coming from Bad Robot is Abrams, retrofitting them into the Cloverfield universe. Cloverfield 10 Lane was originally from a script called The Cellar, and Cloverfield Paradox came from another script called God Particle. Basically what they're saying is, oh, you like this Cloverfield movie? Here, we're going to give you Cloverfield Lane. Here, we're going to give you Cloverfield Paradox. Do you worry about that? That this is not necessarily going to be like, is it going to be like, did we really need this movie? Is that what we're going to think after we see this?
I'm really hoping not, because like he said, I am really like intrigued with the trench. That'd be cool. And as we talked about earlier, I think the way to go about it would be to sort of show the whole evolution of the whole, I'm going to call it the city of the trench.
Yeah.
And like how and you can slowly show also how their monarchy like
they're
evolves.
Supposed to be like the savages in my mind.
They're from Atlantis's point of view, they're all devolved. But guess what? Actually, I just thought about while we were talking on the podcast. What can't normal Atlanteans do that everyone from the trench can?
Breathe underwater. No.
Breathe above water.
Breathe above water.
Yeah. Only high level Atlanteans can do that.
True.
But like,
because I'm trying to think. Of course, Arthur could, because he's part human.
Yeah.
But Mira was able to, and
his father was.
Her father was, and his mother.
Yeah, his mother could, and so could
William Dafoe's character. Obviously, that wasn't Mira's father.
Yeah, he could.
William Dafoe's like sage-like character that I can't remember his name.
And then his brother.
Orm.
Thank you. I couldn't remember his name.
Ocean Master.
Yeah, Ocean Master. Thank you. He could too, but it's only high class.
True.
Of those, but everyone from the trench could, because they're all those all are considered, as you were reading earlier. Those are all considered worker class, and then the king and queen are different. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I get what people are saying.
Yeah,
where it was like, oh, you like this from this movie.
I get that.
I don't have that worry though, because I could tell right away just by watching the Aquaman movie that James Wan had a special kind of liking or a special connection to the trench, because if he didn't, they wouldn't have been in the movie. Because let's be completely honest, did they, like, to quote a famous Rickyism from our reviews, did that really need to be in the movie? No. But was I complaining about it? No, because it was awesome.
It was.
Because it was baller.
And it added...
because you can tell that the director actually liked it, and that showed through the silver screen.
And not to mention, it actually added to the to it. So it's like adding spice. It was adding good spices to a meal.
Yes.
You added some extra stuff that made it taste even better.
And it's not necessarily always bad that, oh, something from this movie spins off into another movie.
Exactly. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It's just he really liked that part. And they want to dive into that more. Dive into it.
Because I think Because I think what we're looking at is horror movie tropes.
Yeah.
Of like, yes, The Conjuring does that, but The Conjuring is a horror movie that falls into its own tropes.
Exactly.
And what I look at is maybe compare this more to Get Out, the Jordan Peele horror movie, where that movie was supposed to be something totally different within the horror genre that we have never seen, and why it was put up for so many awards. Where this,
bless you,
pardon me, I had to sneeze.
Gesundheit.
This could be that first kind of, because name a superhero movie that we've seen dive into the horror genre. I'll wait. Exactly.
You're gonna add crickets in that part, right?
Yeah, I'll try, but like I'll wait. And to me, this is something that I'm kind of upset that Aquaman's going to beat the punch to it. Because like I've told you, I'll explain it right now, Batman should have been the one to beat everyone to the punch on a horror film.
You would think so, yeah. But hey,
give me the Arkham Asylum storyline from the comic in that horror film.
Yeah.
Like, give me that
That should be the one that, if anyone does it. But I'm not opposed to the Trench doing it, because that would be awesome to see. And
finding out like how they become what they are, the development of them becoming from what they were to these kind of creatures that we saw in Aquaman.
And I mean, then you can, I don't know, figure out some storyline to like the modern day of what the Trench is and what it does.
Any final thoughts on this? Anything? Because I feel like I've hit everything that I need to. I'm pumped for it. I hope it becomes something that looks really cool and not like new. Because here's another thing I'll bring up. Forgot about this. New Mutants, man. And of course, they're dealing with a merger that probably they should have been canned right away. But like that's one where it's like they reshot a lot.
Yeah.
And like
they might push that one out just because trying to get their money back on putting it together.
But I mean, that's one where it's like, I don't expect it to be like that. But like that might be people's first impression to the horror genre superhero film.
I was going to say then.
Which will set the bar low, which will be good. Because it could exceed expectations.
If Aquaman does do this, or not Aquaman, if DC does do this with the Aquaman Trench and it's successful, you think that could start a whole new genre of superhero movie?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Horror superhero movies.
Because you think about it, there's not even other characters. If this is successful, Blade. We get another Blade movie.
We get Blade movies.
We get Blade. I mean, Sony's Sony's gonna do a Morbius movie, which I'm assuming is gonna take some horror background.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I mean, it's a vampire. It's a vampire that you're talking about. It should take some horror aspects.
No, you're right. It should if they're gonna do it right. Then you, like you said, Batman, Arkham Asylum, or a movie with Man-Bat could be a horror movie.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else. You can bring in the Dark Justice League and
Justice
do
League
any
Dark.
There you go. Thank you. Close enough. But then you have any of the characters from that to play around with. John Constantine, a new Constantine movie, because we had a Constantine movie before.
Because I mean, and the thing about that too, which is interesting, is the whole like dark magic side of it, and seeing like a Constantine, a Zatanna, Swamp Thing. I know we're gonna get that in the DC universe of TV shows, on the streaming service, but getting like Deadman, the Demon,
that would be cool.
That would be really cool. Now the thing is, does that now then branch it off to because you have Swamp Thing being a TV series on the streaming service, would you then like say, hey, let's keep Justice League Dark to be a TV series on the service instead of a movie on the silver
that
screen?
way they can combine them, maybe.
Because I mean, that would be, but at the same time, we have
pull of Defenders.
We have a silver screen Cyborg, and now we'll have a TV Cyborg. So they could
they can do either way too.
They could be in their own. It could just be alternate realities.
True, because DC has a lot of those.
I'm excited for this. I hope it becomes something good.
I hope so too.
Any final thoughts from you?
No, I think I gave you one little extra
that we weren't thinking of.
Yeah.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Are you excited for this? Does this get your jimmies going, or are you kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm not really a horror guy. I'm not really a horror girl. I'm not going to see it. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. I want to thank you guys for checking out the Rick and Johnny podcast. Make sure to hit us up on patreon.com/mostvaluable-podcast. Make sure to review the podcast on iTunes. Give us that 5-star rating. I hope we hit that mark for you like we try to do each and every week. And then last but not least, make sure to follow us on Twitter at WarMachine9085.
Yes.
At Ricky Widmer, at Most Valuable Pod is Most Valuable Podcast. Thank you guys again. I don't know how many times I said thank you, but I'll say it again. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.